Hi, this is Lee Furseth from the Headwaters Science Center. Wait, I'm not in the Headwaters Science Center. I'm actually outside the Headwaters Science Center. For those of you that tune in week after week after week, you know that Wednesdays is reading a book day. Yes, reading to Orion, our bunny. No, I'm not reading to Orion. I don't think I could convince Orion to sit out here because it's a little colder today. Today I'm reading to the Junkosaurus. The Junkosaurus sits just outside of the Science Center. Today I'm reading to the Junkosaurus. I'm going to read this book right here. I have a little disclaimer. I don't really know how to pronounce all those dinosaur names. I just don't. So if I mess up on a name, first of all, you don't have to correct me. You don't have to write in and correct me. You can if you want. And Ryan, would you please correct me? So Ryan's behind the camera. I'm in front of the camera. Ryan could say, wait, it's pronounced Triceratops.
Get mad at me if he says something wrong.
Yeah, he'll pronounce it. Anyway, this is called Dinosaur Lady. And this is the daring discoverers of Mary Awning, the first paleontologist. That's the book I'm going to read to you. I got it from the Bemidji Public Library. And this one, while it's an easy book for children, had some information I'd never heard of before. So, one of the fun things that's going to turn out for today's show is you never know. People might go walking right by. They might even stop to listen to the story while they're walking past. These guys are even going into the Science Center, so that's what's happening right now. And, yeah, this is Mary Awning. Mary Awning dodged high tides and crashing waves to scour the beach near her town in Lyme Regis, England. She filled her basket with curiosities to sell to tourists, like seashells, and fossils with fanciful local names like snake stones and devil toenails and angel wings. Only that's not their actual names. A snake stone is Anametes. The devil's toenail is a Belamites. And the angel's wings are Petrocola philanthropomus. I paused there. You never know. Ryan might jump in and do, well, wait a minute.
Well, the first one's Ammonites.
Ammonites. Very good. All right. She scrambled over crumbling cliffs and rocky peaks while avoiding life-threatening landslides. Despite the constant dangers, Mary wasn't afraid. She was determined to uncover the area's long-buried secrets, no matter the risk. Another interesting thing about reading out here on the sidewalk, besides the fact that I'm reading to the Junkosaurus, will be some of the sounds you get to hear. Yep, cars backing up and all that kind of stuff. Mary learned to read and write at Sunday school, but she wanted to learn more. She had so many questions about the bones and fossils she found, and she needed answers. She borrowed books and copied scientific papers. She sketched intricate drawings of her discoveries, and she made notes. Lots and lots of notes. One morning, when Mary and her brother were exploring cliffs, they saw something surprising. Nestled in the rock was a large eye socket looking right back at them. Carefully, they chiseled away dirt and stone to expose a 4-foot-long head with a pointed snout. Massive jaw, hundreds of teeth, it was frightening. Only Mary wasn't frightened, she was fascinated. They coaxed workers from the village to help dig it out and carry it home.
So, something cool about that specimen you're looking at there, you said found an eye socket. It looks a little different than ours. This critter has a bone that we don't really have called a scleral bone that you'll see in some stuff. So that's that kind of ring-shaped bone inside the eye. It's a scleral bone. You still see it in some fish.
Cool. While the men returned to their work, Mary set out to find the creature's body. The cliffs were constantly shifting and sliding. It had to be buried somewhere, close by. But where? Day after day, Mary scrambled over the cliffs. Week after week, she searched. Month after month, she hunted. Almost a year later, Mother Nature lent Mary a hand. The powerful winds and the pounding rains from a devastating storm caused several landslides, and then one night, The cliff's ancient layers were exposed, layers that would have taken Mary years to uncover with her hammer and chisel. Something caught Mary's eyes. Bones. Boldly, Mary chipped away and uncovered ribs, vertebrae, flippers. Was it a crocodile? A fish? A lizard? No, Mary had discovered a creature never seen before. Was she scared? Nope, not at all. But many villagers were. Soon they were talking about Mary's monster. Word traveled, and a rich collector who offered to buy the skeleton showed up. Mary hated to see it go, but money would help the Awning family survive for months and months. The collector donated it to the London Museum, and the scientists and geologists flocked to the exhibit. They studied it, they calculated, they debated, and they named it the Ichthyosaurus. Ichthyosaurus, which meant fish lizard. Now I get it, with the first part meaning fish. Yes. All right. The word dinosaur hadn't even been invented yet.
And this notably isn't a dinosaur.
Aha.
Dinosaurs are not dinosaurs.
I'm glad I'm reading Orion. He's not only correcting my pronunciations, he's correcting the book. They made an announcement that shocked the world. Mary's find wasn't just old, it was millions of years old. Their declaration shattered the commonly held belief that the Earth was only 6,000 years old. Also, no one had realized that a species could become extinct until they studied the remains of this creature that no longer walked the Earth. Hi, how are you doing today? Very good. While others discovered her discovery, while others discussed her discovery, Mary kept right on exploring. But now you might be wondering, so how old is Mary? Over the years, Mary also found many odd, dark, lumpy pebbles inside skeletons. She examined them. She read her notes. She studied her drawings. Well, I can tell Ryan's thinking.
One of two things.
All right. She figured out what they were, except it was something a lady wasn't allowed to talk about. But Mary was more of a scientist than a proper lady, so she proclaimed these stones, known as Thesaurus, were actually fossilized poop. Geologists sneered. Scientists scoffed. Then they took a closer look and realized Mary was right. Mary's discovery helped scholars learn more about what ancient creatures are.
You hear those called popularized these days. Fossilized poop.
Same thing, fossilized poop. Ooh, is that proper to talk about? Hello. We're reading outside today. Mary also found many long, thin, cone-shaped fossils. They were unremarkable. Ordinary, at least on the outside. Curious, she cut one open. Tucked inside was a small pocket filled with this thick, dark substance. Mary was even more curious now. Adding a few drops of water turned the substance into ink. Mary's discovery proved that ancient aquatic creatures squirted ink to hide themselves when they were being hunted by a hungry predator. When Mary was 24, she made another amazing discovery. All right, it says she has now turned 24, so you can guess that most of what she was doing there was all in her early years and maybe her teenage years, and now she's 24. This creature didn't have legs, it only had flippers. Oh, this creature didn't have legs, it didn't even have flippers, it only had wings. Mary had unearthed a prehistoric flying reptile called a Thesaurus. A Pterosaurus. Around the world, scientists were talking about Mary's incredible discoveries, but they weren't talking about Mary, at least not at first. You happen to notice on this particular page, it's all men?
Well, going into Pterosaur too, we learned with the Ichthyosaur, saur is lizard. Pterosaur is to fly.
Pterosaurus means flying lizard?
Yeah, Ptera is fly.
Ptera. Very good.
Ptera with a B is fly.
Even though Mary could identify a species from one single bone and rebuild entire skeletons like a jigsaw puzzle, she couldn't join the Geological Society of London. You see, women weren't allowed. She couldn't attend lectures or teach university classes. She couldn't even take a class. A lecture hall saying, stay out. But Mary knew her discoveries were important and would change the world's view of the Earth's past. And so did many geologists, scientists, and scholars. Because where did they go when they had questions? They went straight to Mary. Eager to learn more, they followed her over the cliffs, even if it terrified them, and it did. Just like long-buried fossils, Mary's achievements have slowly been uncovered and shared with the world. Her daring discoveries helped form paleontology. So it wasn't around until after Mary. The branch of geology that uses fossils to study prehistoric life. And she did it all with a homemade hammer, chisel, and a never-ending quest to fearlessly keep exploring and learning. All right, Bone Bits and Fossil Facts, a great page, one you should definitely read.
Did it say how long ago this was?
It's gonna. This is very good. So Ryan's question is, how long did all of this exist? When was Mary alive, and how did that all work? The Bones, Bits, and Facts helps you with some of those pronunciations and also tells you about, what did you say was the name of fossilized poop there, Ryan?
Coprolites.
Coprolites is a fancy name for fossilized poop. It's also known as Bezoras. They were at one time thought to have all sorts of medicinal purposes. That's just one of them. You could read this page. How about a timeline? So, to Ryan's question, Mary was born on May 21st, 1799. Here's an interesting fact for you. When Mary was about a year old, so August 19, 1800, she was struck by lightning. And how do we know about all this? Well, it's not just a story, because when she was struck by lightning, so were her three sisters. The three sisters all died as a result of the lightning strike. Mary was, in a sense, brought back to life. She recovered, and that's the story of Mary's beginnings, being struck by lightning. Now, in 1810, her father died. And so all those formative years were without her father, and then those things that you're asking about, those events in her life, just continue going across the whole page. I want you to know the Royal Society of London names Mary Anning one of the 10 most influential British women in science. That was in 2010. So 211 years later, they name her as one of the most influential people. She dies at the age of 47 from breast cancer. And another whole page about all of that.
Yeah, one thing that's interesting is I don't think any of the things we saw in this are dinosaurs. I don't think a single one of them is a dinosaur.
You know, here's the conclusion I've reached, Ryan.
Despite the title of the book.
I have 2 more books for you. I'm just going to tell you that unless it's really cold and really snowy next Wednesday, we're going to be right back here in front of the Junkosaurus, where I will read you 2 more books. Now, I'm making this decision for a couple of reasons. One of them is, well, it's doggone cold out here, so we've had enough of this reading to you out here on the sidewalk right out in front of the Science Center. The other one is I got 2 more books for you. We'll bring you back these next week when we're going to figure out, wow, some of those weren't dinosaurs. How about the Triceratops? Is that one? Okay, so the next book is about dinosaurs. This one's about dinosaurs, and all of this will be really good. So we did this out in front of the Science Center on a Wednesday at 3:30. Yep, I'm just cold enough to call it quits. But I want you to know we're open 7 days a week. We're open 7 days a week. That means we're open Monday through Saturday, 9:30 to 5 o'clock. We're open Sunday in the afternoon from 1 to 5. So you could come by on a Sunday afternoon and enjoy the things you have.